says, there's got to be a case. There's got to be something. And so he says, you do Westlaw. And so I found one case that got on appeal, like set aside state law prosecution.
Good afternoon. Sorry we're running late. I think we've met. I'm Andrew Morgan. I'm the chair of the JNC. We're here interviewing for a circuit court spot. Thank you for applying. If you could spend a few minutes reintroducing yourself to the commission and tell us why you believe you're qualified for the vacancy.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you all for your time. As many of you know, I'm Bethany Schonsheck. I have been before the commission before, most recently last October, for the seat up in Putnam County. And I am a resident of Volusia County since 1983. So I have some strong roots in the community, and I went to college at Flagler College in St. Johns County. I have been practicing here primarily since 2015 this time, and then before that between 2000 and 2010. I did work for a while out of Winter Park and Orlando, but I was practicing statewide, so I never stopped practicing in the 7th Judicial Circuit, and I always lived here. I never left. So I believe that I'm qualified for this position because I have a very diverse experience. And that's part of the reason I applied, as you'll see on my application, in 2010 and 2011 a couple of times, and then I took some time off to build my experience and round out my experience in some other areas of the law. I've practiced as a prosecutor in the criminal courtroom. I've been a trial litigator, personal injury area of practice, and right now I currently own a practice of my own where I represent small businesses in just about anything they need, which means that I practice just about every kind of law there is. If I'm not representing the business, I'm representing its principal in something that is individually affecting them. So I believe that my work ethic would be a wonderful fit for the bench. I work 12-hour days sometimes because I like what I do. I enjoy the law. I try to hold myself to an extremely high ethical standard. I believe that I am fully electable if I were to be appointed to the position. I have tried to hold myself to a very high standard because this has been a long-term goal of mine. This is not a new goal. So for the past 10 years, I've been focusing on making sure that I would be electable if and when the time came. And I believe that I love change and I thrive on change. And I'm an alumni of an attorney that I respect very much named Julie Osborne, who ran the juvenile division of the state attorney's office when I started. And we still to this day, as recently as last week, use the phrase read the rule. Because Julie always told us to read the rule. And if we didn't have enough to do where we weren't in court, we needed to read the rule. And one of my fellow alums who's working with me now last week said, I felt like we were back in juvenile because I had to read the rule. And I have no problem crossing over. I believe I could sit on any docket in any area of the law based on my experience, and anything that I don't know or don't have experience in. First of all, I love change. I pivoted when I took over a business practice and had never practiced business law before, and have enjoyed the change thoroughly. So if I've been able to pivot before, I'm sure I can pivot again. And I think I would be a great candidate for judge.
Let me ask you, as a circuit court judge, you may be assigned a death penalty case. If you were, and it was supported by the facts and the law, could you impose the death penalty?
I could impose the death penalty if that were the law, and my basis for feeling very strongly about that, it relates back to when Aramis Ayala out of Orange County said that she wasn't going to impose the death penalty or wasn't going to seek the death penalty in any cases, and that made me surprisingly angry because it was the law. That wasn't her decision to make. And I realized then that I absolutely would be able to impose that sentence if that were the law.
Ms. Bethany, this is Chris Green. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You referenced an instance where you enjoyed the benefit of having some mentoring to some extent. Have you yourself had experience mentoring other gun owners?
Absolutely. At my job in Winter Park, when I worked for Cohen Battisti, or what used to be called Cohen Battisti is now Cohen Law Group. I was one of the most senior lawyers there, and it was a rapidly growing firm at the time, so a lot of the lawyers were, it was their first job, and I had quite an opportunity to mentor baby lawyers, teach them about their first courtroom experience, what to expect, help them analyze issues, get over some hurdles, and I really enjoyed that.
Well, let me ask you relatedly, if you are to be appointed next, you will see a number of pro se litigants, and more so each year. Can you describe for us your view of the role of the judge dealing with pro se litigants?
It is a very fine line, but the role of the judge is simply to run an orderly courtroom and ensure that everyone has their right to be heard. It's not to represent or necessarily guide a litigant beyond making sure that they follow the rules of the courtroom. They're not, just because you're a pro se litigant does not mean you're excused from the rules of the courtroom. But recognizing that the litigant has a right to be there and is not a lawyer.
What about defending the seat in the event of election?
I believe I'm wholly electable, and I'm going to go back to my roots. I've been here since 1983. I went to elementary school, middle school, and high school here. I went to college in St. Augustine. I have been a government employee in this circuit. I interned in this circuit when I was in law school, and like I said, even when I left and worked out of Orange County to get some more experience, just to simply better myself and expand my horizons, I never stopped living here. And I believe that I could defend the seat if I were appointed, because number one, I love what I do, and I have strong ties and roots to the community.
This is Charlene Matthews. On your application, you reference the Society for Human Resource Management. Can you tell me what that is?
It's basically just an organization that there's a local chapter and there's a statewide chapter, but it's a resource. I mostly use it as a resource for when you're dealing with a nuanced issue or you need an employee handbook policy the law has changed, or just an issue where you need a good database of articles and opinions. That's what I use it mostly for, or what my role in the organization is, because I practice employment law. And what better way to keep in touch with the issues in employment law than to be a member of an organization that directly relates to those issues.
Thank you.
Ms. Schonsheck, since the last time you appeared before us, I understand there's been a lot of activity, kind of preparing yourself, in the event that you become a judge. You want to tell the committee about that?
Well, I knew last time when I applied that I applied when the position reopened. It closed and it wasn't posted somewhere that it needed to be, and I chose to at the last minute when it reopened get my application in by the following Monday, and I had to do some things very quickly, and I decided that I was never going to do that again, and I wasn't going to do it that way. So I began in April. I've been working with a consultant who has given me some suggestions on some things I could do to better myself. I have spoken to a great deal of the local judiciary to get their input and suggestions and recommendations on what I could do to better myself and make myself better for this position. And so I appreciate that question, because I have done everything to hopefully put myself in a better position to do this job well. And the only way I know to do that is to meet with people who do the job and meet with people that know this process that can help give me pointers and guidance.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate your time.